Water Control finally makes a top 16. This is the last regional of the block. Don't make it 30% if you guys have not smashed the crap out of that subscribe button. Smash it so we can climb up the 100K ladder here. This is the last online regional for the block. This was the 619 wild card regional out here. And your breakdown for this is going to include top 16 actually, because I was able to gather up all that as well. So in your top 16 was 6 Swordsoul decks. That is absolutely an outlandishly large number. I'm actually very surprised to see that we had such a high representation of Swordsoul in that top cut, but I don't think that that's a bad thing. I think that that pushes the fact that that deck is back in its, #1 circle here, showing us that, the deck can still function, do things. It's very interesting. We also had 2 Dragon Link in top cut as well. Not really surprised about that. And then we had 2 Despia decks as well for your higher represented decks. So 10 out of your 16 decks are all basically 2-ofs in some sort of representation here. Now, we had 1 ABC 3-on make it in a top cut. When you get a chance to look at the list here in a second, you'll see definitely a little bit better a version of a list from that, which is very, very nice. I like to see that. We also had 1 Flounder. Flounder actually ended up winning this regional, which is actually amazing because out of the entire chunk of decks that made its way in, only the 1 Flounder really carried itself in. I think that's actually quite nice here. We also had 1 Drytron in top cut as well, which you like to see that. We had a Virtual World, which Virtual World's been struggling really, really hard out here in order to kind of like make a step up into the metagame, so that's kind of interesting to see that. We also had 1 base deck, and then of course the whole purpose of this video, Water Control creeping on into top cut, which is absolutely amazing. That's what you love to see out here. Now we're going to pass on over for those top deck lists. All right, the first list we have here is ABC good stuff. Yeah, 3B, 2C, and 2A. I like to see that. All right, outside of that, of course, you are using your Rite of Armesia package to do what this deck does best. I also like seeing Bodrožić down here, kind of getting the chance to shine. To be perfectly honest with you, I also like the little Splash Magician Souls package that they have in here. It gives you a little bit more oomph, personally. So I like this quite a lot. Next up here is our first Swordsoul deck. Ooh, Triple Talents. 46 cards, by the way. That feels a little bit heavy, but, I mean, you gotta fit in some more hand traps, especially something like Nibiru here, to kind of counteract the format. Yield, D-barriers, anti-spells, check. Yeah, there's a lot of anti-fun stuff down here in the side deck. You love to see it. Be personally honest with you, yeah, this feels very standardized for what you really expect out of these regionals. So, good stuff. Next up here, another Swordsoul. Man, you just shifted from 46 cards back here to 40. All right, and then yes, Draco Masters of the 10E back at it again. This is what I like to see. This is one of the cooler boss monsters that this deck actually has going for it, and I'm glad to see that we actually get a nice little run back here from the previous formats to showcase this card, because this card is cool AF. Outside of that, another very standard Swordsoul list. All right, our first Despia deck here. 2 Patchwork is fine because it's a hard once per turn. 1 Retribution and 1 Banishment. We're actually playing Retribution. Okay. That is very, very good. 1 copy of Lost is fine. I don't see anything else really too crazy here. I do like the nice little side deck Change of Heart that you can bring in if you really need it, depending on how your matchups are going. So, I'll take it. Outside of that, yeah, another fairly standard list. All right. Oh, it's our first Dragon Link list here. 50 cards extended out. I do think going forward here, Dragon Link's probably going to start to see way over 40, just because, like, you kind of want to put in some board breakers. I also see here that we are playing the Illusion of Chaos stuff here, so you can kind of devastate your opponent and laugh at them. Obviously, Boral and Dragon is going to be the hard carry for this particular deck, just because, like, it streamlines everything and makes life so much easier in terms of things. Alright, next up here is our Flounder list. Ooh, triple extra with the triple duality. I like that. Okay. D-barrier shenanigans, of course. Darksome Moor getting the chance to show back up here. I love to see that. Outside of that, double Regal. No Shirog. Huh, okay. I guess it's a little bit interesting. Okay, sure. 1 toucan. Yeah, I don't see anything different about this. 1 M-Pen is perfectly fine for this build. Alright, next up here, our next Despia list. We're main decking 1 copy of TC Boo? What? Did we just decide that we wanted to go 47 cards just to try out something spicy? I guess. We have the other copy down here. I guess I feel like if you set up a board and you see this, you're good to go. That's just very interesting, I guess, in terms of raw deck building for tech choices. But, okay, man. The metagame is a very interesting place. Next up here is another Swordsoul list. 40 cards here. We're playing Double Vassal. No Heavenly Dragon Cycle for this list. And we are main decking Triple Crow with the Triple Effect Veiler. This is by far probably your better compact version of this deck. You just kind of shove everything together, kind of hope for the best at the end of the day for a build like this. And, you know, once again, it looks like it worked out. So that's what you got to love with these heavier, better built decks. All right, next up here. This is our base deck, of course. We have the Punk Stinger package in here. Why would you not be playing that? Adventure stuff. We've said so many times on this channel that, you know, combining all of this good stuff together is the reason why you'll see this deck performing and doing optimally. All right, like, really? This whole Synchro package is the hard carry for this format. Also, you know, shout out to Halky Fibrex here. Hopefully soon to be banned in the near future. All right, next up here, we have our next version of this. So just 2 Heavenly Dragon Cycles, 0 Vassal for this. We're main decking Double Veiler. Of course, there's Triple Space Rock. And then we have Double Droplet in here for board breaking. We really went hard down here in the side deck, man. Triple Anti-Spell, Triple Dimensional Barrier. And I also see that we have the Ghost Mourner and Moonlit Chills in here. So in case something kind of goes wrong or goes sideways, you have access to these to pull these in and be like, no, stop it, opponent. I'm going to win the game. But shout out to Droll. This card's really good right now. Next up here is another version of Swordsoul. Okay, 47 cards. So we're on double Heavenly, double copies of Vessel. We have the 1 Swordsoul of Monster Reborn. Honestly, I guess, like, the other spicy thing in here is the fact that we are playing the 1 Feather Duster in the side, and I guess the triple Ghost Ogre. You shouldn't be losing to anything really too left field with this deck. You should have everything pretty well rounded out. Our water control deck. Oh my god. We're playing Giga as our vanilla monster. Okay, sure. It's only 2 Doom Kraken, the triple Jellyfish with the triple Kyroshin with the 1 Warrior of Atlantis. We have triple Demise in the land to activate the Mystic Mines out of our deck. That's kind of cute. I love that. And then, of course, Kyroshin's Reef here is going to be, like, your kind of emergency button. Yeah, it does have to eat off on Umi, which it's not like you can't send this off. The other cool thing is, like, if you use this to fire this off, you can have this activate this from the graveyard. So you basically get the chance to repopulate. Outside of that, yeah, obviously your Bahamut Shark shenanigans are going to be, like, the best go-to for this. But this whole deck is still going to revolve around the fact that you need Kyroshin to stick on the field to set up the devastating Floodgate effect. And once this thing takes off, you should be in a pretty good position. Like, that's the reason why this deck is cool and gets to function. Next up here is another Swordsoul list. Yeehaw! We're on 2 Heavenly Dragon Cycle, 1 Vassal. I swear, players don't know what ratios they want to do with this deck, man. Like, it's so up in the air at this point in time that it's crazy to me. Triple Space Rock, Triple Veiler for our hand traps is fine. Double DD Crow and Triple Droplet if we need. And we have a lot of good anti-fun cards down here. Also, we're playing Lina in the side deck. Huh, or the extra deck. That's kind of cute. Could be a Draco Masters of the 10-Yi. Next up here is our Drytron list out of this event. So we are playing full with the Ophiel and the Bethor plays to laugh at the opponent during their turn. I still think this is some of the cutest stuff in the world. And of course, Scythe Lock shenanigans in here as well. It's just not a Drytron deck without, you know, this good stuff. And of course, we got some board breakers. You definitely need these in here in order to kind of capitalize and punish the opponent way easier. Alright, so not too bad of a list here. And the last as we have here is another Dragon Link list for you guys. 44 cards for this. 1/1 splash between the Magician Souls package is fine. And then we're playing 1 Eradicator Epidemic Virus. Of course, EEV is kind of like a free blowout against some of like the more spell-based decks. So, outside of that, that is your top 16 national championship. I think it was 126 players here for Throna Games. Your overall breakdown for the whole event was 22 Despia, being the highest represented deck in the top cut. Okay, we had 14 Eldritch. Not too crazy about that number, but alright. Swordsoul. And then we had Drytron and Flonderies in 7-7 in terms of representation. That's kind of interesting. We also had Dragon Link and Punk Synchro. Those representations were a little bit down from my expectations here. We had 5 Thurion, 5 Salamangrea, and then 41 other decks. So that the other category will include like players that chose to play Heroes, Sky Striker, things like that. But I think the most interesting here is Despia was the highest represented deck for this event. Your top 8 for this event kind of tells a little bit different of a story here overall for things. The fact that 2 Despia made it in, that's 20 Despia decks that got amputated into Top Cut, is hilarious to me, alright? 2 Drytron decks came through and made it into Top Cut as well. That's definitely showing the power that Drytrons definitely have right now. 2 Swordsoul variants made it into Top Cut. That once that deck gets into the grind show, that is the Top Cut of an event, it will definitely do its job. I also see here that we have 2 Eldritch, or excuse me, we had 1 Eldritch branded deck, which actually ended up getting 2nd place, which is quite an impressive feat in and of itself. Considering the rest of the metagame that is around you right now, I'm so very impressed with that. And then we also had 1 Salamangrea deck actually winning this whole event, which, if you're a Salad player, congratulate yourself right now, because that's a W for you guys. We're going to pass it over for some deck lists now. Alright, the first deck I was going to be looking at here is none other than our first Drytron deck. Double Mystic Mine in this variant is kind of sad. I understand at the end of the day. It definitely helps facilitate the power of this deck. I also see that we are playing the 1 Magic Key in here with the 1 Ritual Monster to search it. If you guys haven't noticed, as of late with Drytron, having that Magic Key search for that spell and trap negate basically prevents you from having your board broken in a situation with like a Dark Roller, because you'll just key it away. Alright, having that potential to stop that is what is making this deck a whole lot better. If only they would have figured that out much earlier in this deck's existence. Also, Vandy's Ruler is a heck of a card, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of players cannot handle a Vandy's Ruler right now, especially with some sort of protection standing next to it. It's definitely quite a little interesting thing here. But, you know, double Drytron making it into Top Cut, nonetheless very interesting. Our other Drytron deck here is going to tell a little bit different of a story. This build wanted to play triple Mystic Mine in here, and you'll see here that we're playing the mini package of the Fools for the rock package. Okay, I see that we're main decking 1 Galaxy Cyclone. What was the reasoning for that? I'm unsure of that. And I see that we are playing the 1 Amorph Factor in here. Honestly, being able to have access to that Amorph Factor and skip a critical phase for the opponent is kind of cute. We've seen this show up a few times. We've seen Gust Kraken as well show up in these decks to be super cute and things. I think it's kind of the thing I like about Drytrons is if you're going to mess around with the deck, you can still perform and do well with some of the dumber ritual monsters at your disposal. Like, I guess that's like the coolest thing to really say here is dumb ideas win dumb prizes, but they can win tops as well, which very, very good, honestly. Next up here is our first branded list here. Now, this is going to be a nice little flashback here to the past where you see that we're playing the triple or with the 1 McCourier. 2 to 3 McCouriers is not cutting it anymore. So many players have just amputated the extra McCourier and they're just like, no, there's no point. Honestly, just going for the 45 cards feels better. You will notice that we are playing the Harpy's Feather Duster in here as well. That's so we can have an out to say the old Mystic Mine-aroo in here. Mystic Mine is a very unfun, pleasant strategy for this deck. If it resolves, this deck will struggle bus until it's off the field. Also, there have been more and more decks that have kind of been playing Corrupt Ribley, which just kind of hurt this deck a lot more at the end of the day. So, yeah, Despia is still struggling, especially when you're playing more like the conventional build like this, which was the very, very straightforward engines at the end of the day. But, alright, I'll take it. So, congratulations for performing up to pretty standard for this deck. Next up here is our first Swordsoul list here. Interesting straight off the bat here that we're playing 42 cards. We're also doing the double Heavenly Dragon cycle, double Vessel, as I've said for pretty much every one of these breakdowns. 3 Heavenly has been surpassing the 2-2 split on this, but I think it's still fine to do this. This build is also on the 8 hand traps, which is fine. A lot of builds have been trying out, 12, trying to play the Space Rock and things like that. It really depends on your localized meta. Considering where this event was, I don't know if Nibiru would be all that crazy. You do see, like, the Nibirus are interchangeable with the Effect Veilers here, because you have the 2 in the main, 2 in the side for you to access, which is fine. Outside of that, Swordsoul builds have been very, very standard for a while now. Your real big diversity, like I said, is your interchangeable hand trap slots, and how you want to go ahead and handle more of the little tech choices overall. So it's kind of interesting. Oh boy, another Swordsoul list. So this is what I was talking about just a second ago. You see here how we are playing the triple Heavenly with no vessels whatsoever. We also are playing a straight 40 card variant with this deck, which I don't think is bad. I have been seeing a lot more of the 41, 42 variants that have been getting off the ground a lot easier, right? Also, extending out the little extra resources doesn't quite feel as bad either. It's going to come down to how you want to handle, once again, your deck building. I do see that we are playing the Baguska down here as well. I guess it's kind of like an oh crap button. If the game starts to kind of go out of your control, you can just make a Baguska on your opponent, and your opponent's going to be like, what am I supposed to do about this? Like, what kind of BS is this at the end of the day? So, once again, the thing that makes Swordsoul an interesting deck is what little tech choices can actually show up and actually relevantly matter for this deck. And then next up here, we have our other Despia list in top 4 here. Now, we are playing 1 Fairy Tale Snow in here. You do see that we are playing the triple Space Rock in here. Once again, if you have a straight line through all of the Swordsoul players throughout the day, you should have one of the easiest days out here. I also see that we are playing the Gold Sarcophagus, but we're not playing McCourier? Huh? That's interesting. Okay, sure. I see that we are playing, I guess it's just to get to the tragedy, right? Like, just so you can get a free search off of it. That's kind of interesting. Okay. Of course, we're playing the 1 banishment so that we can do the fusion shenanigans. I also see that we are playing the 1 targeting protection in the side deck. I can't tell you how many times that stupid card comes up. Alright, like, maybe not as much as it did in the very early days, but, like, that card feels very, very good at the end of the day. So, outside of that, all right, next up here is our branded set a lot of cards deck. Oh boy, this build is not playing Lord of Heavenly Sky Prism. We're not playing the Brave package. We said, you know what, we're going to cut the Lord of the Heavenly Sky Prisms. We're going to play the absolute pure Eldritch variant here. We're going to set up a Mirror Jade, we're going to set up the Golden Lord, and we're going to laugh at our opponents. We're hiding behind 25 trap cards. Holy crap. I also see that we are siding the spooky dogwood down there so that you can gain some life points for time. That's kind of cute. I mean, also technically you are a set 5 deck, so if your opponent starts to combo on you, just gain a whole bunch of life points. A lot of players kind of underestimate like how much power that card has in a side deck metagame like this. Time manipulation and the ability to set up. You see a Mystic Mine, you're just like, all right, cool, next game. So very happy to see overall that this deck performed up to the standards for this metagame. And then last but not least here, first place is our Salamangrea deck. Finally, somebody's playing Desires. So happy to see that. We're playing 1 Rage, 1 Roar with the double Desires. It's fine. We're on triple DD Crow, triple Effect Veiler. You love to see it. I see we're playing Baguska as well. Baguska's kind of like a free laugh at your opponent. If something goes wrong, you just make the Baguska. This is what I like to see for my Salamangrea decks. This is what I would consider the gold standard for a current powered Salamangrea deck. So what do you guys think about this breakdown? If you guys have any event breakdowns, or if you guys have performed well in an event, please send it on over. Leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I will see your beautiful faces back here later on the day, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
much for watching. Check out these other videos.